Welcome. It is the end of the year. It has been a little bit nutty around here. It is quite busy, but what about all those things that we say about the importance of making time to make things, making time for self-care, making time to make sure that you spend time with your crafts? Now, it's the end of the year and I'm just asking myself, did I actually make time to make things this year? Did I make anything this year? Hey there, thank you so much for being here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and also the School of SweetGeorgia. And this moment in time, this video, these things are called Taking Back Friday. This is a moment where we sit down and we chat about what I've been making. Have I been making anything? Have I actually been sort of accountable to myself about making time to make things? Now, one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that at the start of this year, I started the year off with the idea of doing a Make 9 challenge. And I talked about this in our live office hours for the School of SweetGeorgia, which is available for you to watch on YouTube as well. It's all archived in like a playlist, all for live office hours. But at the start of 2024, I started talking about wanting to make this Make 9 project. And I talked about it every month for probably about 6 or 7 months. I kind of check in with this Make 9 idea at the start of every live office hours every month. Now, the idea of a Make 9 challenge really came from many, many years ago. Somebody was posting about their best 9 things, the best 9 posts that happened in 1 year on Instagram. And so I think that this was a feature or a function where you could sort of pick your 9 best or most popular posts from Instagram, and then they would form themselves into a little grid, a 3x3 grid, and then you would see all of these highlights of your year. And so the idea of the Make 9 sort of challenge is that all of those items in that 3x3 grid, those 9 items, that they would be projects that you created throughout the year, projects that you managed to accomplish over the entire year. Now, the person who started the Make 9 challenge is kind of reminding us that the Make 9 is meant to be a gentle and encouraging challenge. And she wrote, "May 2024 be your year of empowering projects that make you feel joy." So it's a wonderful, wonderful sentiment. And so I started off this year with the intention of exploring and learning and making 9 things. And I drafted it all out, not only with sort of the finished objects, but I also allocated looms and equipment, and I thought about what that project or piece of learning would provide for me at the end of the day. Like, was it skill building? Was it exploring something new that I'd never tried before? And so to me, this idea of Make 9 is not just about collecting 9 finished objects, but it was about exploring and learning 9 different techniques or skills, and out of that would come some finished objects. So if you go back and check my January live office hours for the School of SweetGeorgia, I sort of went through my Make 9 step by step, and I had my grid, and then I looked at all of the different crafts that I wanted to cover. So I wanted to learn about weaving and spinning and machine knitting and do some more knitting, all these kinds of things. And then I also looked at the 3 different stages of my understanding of these crafts, how I wanted to sort of relate to these crafts. Was it something that I wanted to discover for the first time, try something new for the first time? Or was it a skill or a technique that I wanted to develop and get better at? Or was it something like I wanted to deepen my knowledge and understanding of a certain craft? And so I was doing this on the grid, and I fleshed it out one step at a time, looking at the crafts, looking at the different stages, looking at what kind of projects I would make out of it, and then looking at what kind of tools I would use out of that. And so here is my 2024 Make 9 intentions. This is what I had wanted to do. I'd wanted to sort of explore and discover summer and winter and weaving that weave structure, block weave structure. That was one of the things I wanted to do. I also wanted to look at double weave and weave twill blankets on 8 shafts. I'd previously done double weave on 4 shafts. I also wanted to go in for the first time and try some waffle weave. And so I did a little bit of that. And it was on my 2024 list to go through the entire process of weaving with hand-painted warps. So everything from the dyeing to actually dressing the loom to weaving a bunch of projects with a hand-painted warp. I also wanted to spin for another sweater, and I also wanted to spin for the night shift shawl that I've already been working on. It's kind of halfway through. And then I also had some color and design projects I wanted to work on. I wanted to explore the fundamentals of designing stripes, plaids, and also looking at tartans. Weaving tartans was interesting to me. And then on the machine knitting side, I wanted to knit with my ribber this year, the CSM ribber. I also wanted to do color work on my flatbed knitting machine with hand-dyed yarns. And so looking at that chart of what I wanted to do, what did I actually accomplish and what got missed? So when I look at my chart, I did manage to finish the summer and winter blocks. Well, actually, I managed to design a project with summer and winter blocks, but then the actual weaving of the project, I am still in the middle of weaving them right now. So they are currently on the Leclerc Mira loom at the studio. They need me to be there at the studio with more time at the loom. And so that is kind of on hold right now until I can just sit there and just be there. The second thing is that I did some waffle weave earlier this year on 4 shafts. And weaving waffle weave on 4 shafts is great. I learned a lot. But at the same time, I want to do more shafts. I think that waffle weave on 6 shafts or 7 shafts, 8 shafts is probably going to be a little bit more interesting than just 4 shafts. And so that's something that I want to dive deeper into as well. And of course, I did do the hand-painted warps this past year. That became a course that we launched in November on the School of SweetGeorgia. And so that is all there. With the color and design, I did end up going and doing a ton of research on tartans and the history of tartans, weaving tartans. It is so interesting. Weaving tartans was so fascinating to me, and I've learned a lot. I'm right now in the middle of weaving a project that is kind of sampling a tartan design, and it's really fun, and I really encourage you guys to look into this as well. The history of tartans, how tartans are woven, what it all means. And so I've put this all together, and this is also going to become a course that's going to come out at the School of SweetGeorgia next year, early next year. Tartans and plaids and stripes and designing fabric with color and all sorts of things. So that is all coming. Now, there's a couple of other things that happened this year that I never even imagined. They were never even on my radar this year. And so one of the things is that this kaleidoscope scarf project that we're weaving in Log Cabin, I'm weaving it right now in the Ashford Brooklyn loom. That's not something that I had set out to weave in January when I made my Make 9, because at that time Amanda Wood had not yet designed it. But she was planning to design a project for our November weave along, but I just didn't know what it was, and I didn't know that I was going to weave it. And now I am. The other thing that came up is that there is going to be a brand new weaving magazine that's coming out next year called Weft, and it is brought to you by the people who have made Ply magazine all these years. So Ply magazine is a magazine founded by JC Boggs, and it is focused entirely on spinning. And now that JC's starting a second magazine called Weft, and that's going to be entirely focused on weaving. And so for that new magazine, I have been writing a couple of articles. So one of the articles that's going to be coming out next year is double weave, plain weave, how to weave double weave in plain weave. And so this is a course that I taught for the School of SweetGeorgia last year, I think it is. And so for this magazine, I designed a new blanket project to go with it. And so I wove that this year. This was all unexpected. I'm also writing an article about sectional warping for the magazine as well, and also talking about my warping trapeze setup, which I absolutely love, and I want to convince everybody to do these things. Sectional warping and warping trapeze, my favorite things. In any case, that has kept me quite busy for the past couple of months as well. And these were totally unexpected things. I never expected these things to come up this year. The other thing is obviously doing a little bit more knitting. Now that my hands are, well, they're not entirely better. And to be honest, a couple of weeks ago, I did end up going to the neurologist and getting some tests done. And they confirmed that I actually have carpal tunnel syndrome in my wrists, which is why my fingers feel tingly and numb while I knit. But there are some things that they're recommending that I do to help improve the carpal tunnel. But Meanwhile, because I have been resting my hands a lot more, it's given me the ability to knit a little bit longer than I used to be able to. At one point in time, last year, the year before, I couldn't knit longer than 10 minutes at a time, and my hands would hurt and they would be all tingly and terrible. Now I can knit for a little bit longer. So this year I have been doing a little bit more knitting. So I had the wraps per inch hat that I knit this fall. I also knit 3 versions of the Flicker and Flame hat, and this is the most recent version. This one's all done as well now too. So this is the one I finished last night. This is all hand spun and then mixed with the BFL and Silk DK yarn. So that was all really fun to do. And then this year, I also didn't expect to learn a new fiber prep technique. So this year I have been doing a ton of fiber prep and taking fiber and dizzing it through hand cards. As you can see, I got kind of obsessed with this technique. And so you can see this is the fiber that I prepped for another hand spun sweater that I'm going to be making. I also took all of the fiber. This is the This is the fiber that we came out with for September Club. This is a Secret Stash Club colorway called Riverfront. And I prepped all of this fiber as well. This is eventually going to be spun into something. But yeah, I just have all this prepped fiber everywhere now. Again, didn't expect that to happen this year. A lot of how I used to spin is just to take the fiber braid, split it up, and then start spinning. But with this technique of preparing all the fiber ahead of time, it is just so light and fluffy and smooth. And it's like the fiber spins itself. It spins faster because there's less hiccups, there's less things to pick out. It's just beautiful and amazing. So that has been fun to learn this year. You can see with all this fiber that I've prepped here, I actually have been spinning. And so this is 1/3 of the fiber that is already spun onto a bobbin and put onto a storage bobbin. So this is going to be ready to go very soon. I talked to Charlotte because she's knitting the same sweater that I am, that Girdwood sweater. And she's already finished all of the color work right now. And so she's explaining to me how much yardage is needed for that yoke. And so I'm going to maybe adjust some of my spinning to match with what she's saying about it. In terms of spinning, I have been working on that night shift shawl. So this is the giant shawl that is designed by Andrea Mowry. And I have been working on this for, well, off and on for this year. And I only paused because I ran out of yarn. And so that's what I'm spinning right now. I'm spinning more of the yarn to go into this so that I can finish the project, because this is what I have, and I'm not sure why I need more yarn. So this is just waiting for more yarn. But otherwise, this is going to be a very nice project when it's done. And then I made this sweater this year, this Jethro cardigan. It's a granny square crocheted cardigan with knitted sleeves. I happened to make these sleeves on the knitting machine. This is, again, something that I didn't expect. Never occurred to me that I was going to make a granny square cardigan this year. But I learned how to do the join as you go technique, which was really great. And so I feel like I've learned so many new things this year. Now, learning to do that crochet as you go technique, I like it so much that I ended up making a second project. Many, many years ago, I actually crocheted all of these granny squares to make a baby blanket, but my babies are no longer babies. They are almost 9 and 11 now. And so we don't need a baby blanket anymore. So that's why I'm taking all of those squares and then making another Jethro. This is going to be a mini Jethro for my daughter. And so that is happening very, very soon. The panels are almost all done, and then I will have to block them and then hang them on the knitting machine as well. Now, one of the things that I said that I wanted to do was to machine knit some ribbed socks with the ribber of my CSM. And I will admit that I did not install my ribber at all this year. It's just too busy. There's just too many things to do, and I couldn't sit down and just get it done. I understand now why people have multiple circular sock knitting machines. I get it. I understand it now, because you might want to have one machine set up with one cylinder and another machine set up with a different cylinder with a different stitch count. Maybe you want to have another setup with like a ribber on it. There's so many different things that you might want to make with your circular sock knitting machine. But if you need to switch from making 64 stitch socks to all of a sudden 48 stitch socks to mock rib socks to ribbed socks, you have to change your setup every single time. You have to like take needles out, put needles back in, and that part of it is maybe a little bit tedious, having to reset your machine. And so that's one of the reasons I could see why people would have more than one machine, and then you just have it set up and ready to go at all times. So finally, with my CSM, I actually did crank a ton of socks this year. Even though I didn't make any ribbed socks, I did make a ton of socks. I mostly made socks like every single month for the Secret Stash Club. So a lot of these are Secret Stash colorways. Some of them are sort of colorways that we have all the time. This one is the Beachside Brunch. And then because I didn't learn how to make the ribbed socks, the traditional fully ribbed socks, I learned to make mock ribbed socks. And so I feel like that was already a win for this year. It was already something new that I had not done before. Now, you may notice that all of these socks that I've knit, majority of them have not yet been grafted. So I have to go through the process of actually finishing all the socks. And one of the things is that I made all these socks and I love looking at the socks, but part of me feels like they're too precious to wear. And if I wasn't going to wear them, then I didn't need to finish them in the first place. And so that's part of the reason why they're not finished, is because I didn't think that I would actually wear them. But now I feel like, what is the point of making socks if you don't wear them? And cranked socks are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to wear. They feel amazing. And so I think I am just going to spend some time this winter and finish the socks, graft them all. I've learned how to do the Finchley graft, which I'm going to do a tutorial on soon as well. And so yes, that is all going to come, and I'm going to wear these socks in the new year. So think about if you had any plans for what you wanted to make this year. What did you want to learn this year? Did life take you on an unexpected ride in a totally different direction? Or did you learn something that you didn't even have on your radar earlier this year? Every year, between Christmas and New Year's, I sit down and I kind of like really spend time reflecting about what went on this year, what I managed to accomplish, and sort of what I hope to accomplish in the new year. And so my very quick sort of review of what I've done this year and how I managed my Make 9, I'm actually super pleased with myself. Maybe the only thing that I didn't really check off is doing the color work on my flatbed knitting machine. And there are reasons for that. Like the punch card is jammed in the machine and then I have to punch a new card. All these sort of obstacles. But in any case, this is kind of like laying the foundation for next year's plan. I am already thinking about what I want to be making in 2025. And I know like a lot of that is going to be weaving, but there's also going to be machine knitting, including the CSM, more spinning, definitely more fiber prep before actually sitting down to spin, and then using that hand spun yarn in knitting projects or crochet projects, weaving projects, CSM projects. So it's basically what I did this year, plus more. So I would love to hear about what you are planning to do in the new year, what you're reflecting on at the end of this year. What did you make? What did you find was the highlight of your year? I would love to hear about what your favorite project was, what you made that you're so proud of, what you learned that you didn't expect. Please do share your comments below. And if you are looking for patterns or project ideas or new things to learn and make in 2025, please do sign up to get our Sweet Georgia newsletter. We send out notes every week about new courses that we've launched on the School of Sweet Georgia, as well as new project ideas and patterns that we've published on our website at sweetgeorgiayarns.com. So thank you so much for being here today. I wish you a wonderful, relaxed, and cozy end to the year, and I will see you in the new year. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye for now.